Stacy Hord felt as if her husband had robbed her of years of happiness. So when she decided to end her marriage, she formed what she called a girlfriend posse and hit all the hot spots.
After Stacy Hord got her divorce, she jumped headfirst into the dating scene. On the weekend, she hit all the parties, desperately seeking that certain someone. In her book, A New Vision for Dating, Stacy shares how she eventually had a change of heart and chose to stop dating until her 3 sons were grown.
Please welcome to the 700 Club the author of A New Vision for Dating, Stacy Hord. Stacy, it's great to have you with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
You began dating even before your divorce was final. Where were you at that point in your life?
You know, I remember as we were going through a very difficult time in our marriage, the day that I went out to my garage and I stood there alone and I literally pointed my finger towards God and I said, "You have forgotten me." And our marriage was so hard, and I really believed that God had just stopped working on my behalf. And I remember rebellion set into my heart at that time. So when the divorce did happen, I mean, I just had no restraint. I had such a hole in my heart. And I'm like so many people who go through divorce, they want to fill that hole. They want to be desirable. They want to make sure that they're still okay. And so they go hit that dating scene.
Yeah. Well, and you think it'll fix what's been broken.
Yeah.
What did you find instead when you were out partying?
Oh, I remember the night that I was sitting with a bunch of girls at a table. I remember sitting there thinking, this isn't me. I don't belong here. It had been fun for a while. And then when that season runs out, you're so miserable. And I knew that I was in a dangerous position. If I didn't start calling out to God and change some things, I had become so desensitized and had adopted the world's way of viewing this. I knew I was in trouble.
What made you decide to take a time out from dating? I mean, you could have just pulled away from the party scene and still have dated, but you actually decided to take a break there. Tell me what went through your heart.
You know, that was a move of God. I don't think you can just conjure up the will to do that sort of thing. The night I was driving home, as I mentioned in the first book of the chapter, I had hit bottom, and I called out to, I was so raw and dry, I didn't know how to pray at that point. I just hadn't had any communication with God. But I knew, going back to my childhood, there was so much power in the name Jesus. If I could just say the name Jesus. So I'm driving down the highway, and I just whispered it, and I just said, Jesus. Then I drove a little further, and I just started getting louder. And before you knew it, that's all I said, but I was just yelling it, Jesus. That's all I said that night. There were no angels. There was no miraculous delivery. But 2 nights later, I end up going to my church, and I'm sitting out in the parking lot, and a woman starts approaching my car. And she approached me, and she said, "Is everything okay with you?" And I said, "I'm fine." And she said, "Well, I just need to let you know that 2 nights ago, about 2:30 in the morning, God woke me up in the middle of the night to pray for you. And I don't know what it was about, but I knew I needed to pray for you." And I knew that was God waking someone up in the middle of the night to finish a prayer that I couldn't finish. And it warmed me up. It softened me. And I thought, this is the shepherd who'll leave the 99 and go find the one who was lost. And I saw it I wanted then to see what else he would do for me. I got so excited about his restoration. And when we just make that first move and call on him, he'll open the doors and he'll enable us to be able to walk in that.
And sometimes when we're really hurting, we just don't feel or sense God's presence in the midst of the pain, and how wonderful that he not only woke the lady up, but sent her to your window that night to let you know that he saw you, that he heard you, that your tears were not in vain. You know, I think I have been through divorce myself, have many friends who've gone through it, and children are always the victims in scenarios like that. What do you feel people can do to protect their kids when there is no other way but divorce? What do you suggest?
One of the reasons I wrote this book is because as I facilitated divorce recovery workshops, I would have numerous men and women coming through the workshops, and I knew that they were dating, they were dragging men and women in and out of their kids' life. I saw the chaos it was causing, the kids, the children that were being molested by strangers. I mean, horrible stories. And I knew that I couldn't help those kids unless I could help the parents, and that's how the Lord laid this book on my heart. A few years ago, I was in my prayer closet and I'm crying out to the Lord, and I had this burden on my heart for my kids, and I was just crying out to the Lord, please, Lord, don't make them pay. It's not their fault. Don't make them have to pay for this divorce. And then the Lord just gave me this knowledge that came over me, and he said, that's why we're doing it this way. That's why you're not dating. That's why we're taking it the harder way. But it's not about you. It's for them. And usually when the Lord is calling us as parents to take a harder route or a different way, and it doesn't make sense, I think it's more about our children than it is us.
Why is that so hard for people to do? I mean, I think even if children weren't being abused by someone coming into the home, you talk in the book about wanting your children to see you date the right way at the right time. But having people come in and out of their lives when maybe the most important person in their life, or one of the most important people in their lives, has left, can be so damaging. Why are we not willing to pay a price for our children?
Well, I believe that there's an idol in America, and it's called the idol of love and romance, and it's perpetuated by the media and Hollywood, and we are so inclined to believe the Hollywood version that we've got to have someone. We all believe that. I fell for it. I've got to have someone. I've got to prove I'm still attractive. And it's so strong, it overrides really our ability to spiritually figure out what we need to
stand and make a difference.
Yeah.
So what are some of the pitfalls of dating too quickly when you've come out of a relationship?
You just don't have a clear head. Honestly, divorce does a head trip on you. And you're kind of in a fog. You don't have direction. Most people don't have hope. So they really don't even know what they're aiming for. And they end up getting in relationships that they're not prepared for. They can't determine the motives of the other person. They haven't set up a new standard of, God, when he comes into our life to restore us, he transforms us and he renews us. And that's what he did to me, changed my thinking about dating. But if I hadn't allowed him that time, I would still be dating the very same kind of people in the very same circumstances.
Talk about that for just a minute. You talk about red light qualities, green light qualities. What are some of the things to look out for? What are the things to look for?
It's as simple as reputation. It can work for you. A reputation, I say in the book, is like reading the label on a can. It tells you what you're getting. So if you hear continuously from good people that you consider wise, I don't know about this person. I just have some questions here. I think that's just something you ought to take to the Lord.
Right.
Yeah. There's also, of course, obvious behaviors as far as anger issues and things like that. And that we want to be on the watch out for.
What about quality, good qualities? What should someone be looking for in somebody who is worth dating?
I know the quality that I look for is a people lover, which is one of the qualities that I look for. They really love people. They really serve. They're God seekers. They seek God for the decisions in their heart. I say in the book, one of my favorite stories is when Isaac and Rebecca met. And Rebecca, the first time she saw Isaac, he was out in the field meditating. And to me, that's very attractive, to see a man in church worshiping, seeking God. And that's what we're seeking for.
I know there are lots of people who are watching today, and maybe you've gone through a divorce, maybe you're going through one, maybe you just have a serious relationship that you've come out of. This book is for anybody who's come through that process. Stacy's book is called A New Vision for Dating. It's available wherever books are sold. We also have more advice from Stacy in a web-exclusive interview, and if you'd like to watch that, you can log on to cbn.com, click on the link called In the Green Room. Thank you. It's wonderful to have you with us.